Hey, what's up guys? My name is Cameron Gallagher from We Are Film, and today I wanted to do a little video about what is on my Mac. I haven't done one of these in a long time, and not a ton has changed, although there definitely has there's some staples that have changed in the process, and I thought I'd do a little video just kind of talking about what I have down here on my dock and what I use on the daily for programs, and also some stuff up here, which we'll talk about some little Mac menu accessories that I use. So, primarily if you're new to this channel, if you don't watch my videos normally, I do video production. I am a director and a producer and a writer. And so I do a lot of, content creations for the web, obviously. A lot of that is like full-blown video production for commercials and corporate videos and stuff. And then I also do filmmaking. So I'm a writer and a director, and I do a lot of that stuff right now, a lot of writing right now. So that's just kind of where I'm coming from. So when you're confused or you're curious, this will give you some insight. So I'll start down here on the dock. Well, I guess, to start, my wallpaper is pretty basic. I like to keep it usually just like something fairly plain and bland. I switch it up all the time. I kind of go all over the place with it. But down here on the dock, I have mine animated. I went in Terminal and changed it where it'll be nice and quick, so it animates up quickly. But all the way to the left, I have Finder, pretty much a staple. Then I have Fantastical. So I am a huge Fantastical lover. I'm not sponsored by anything, by the way. So Fantastical or any of the apps I'm going to talk about. I just really love Fantastical. I like the fact that it has the openings, which has kind of allowed me to get rid of Calendly. So I can pretty much send like invites to people and say, hey, book a 30-minute call or book this or that. Super handy. I love the layout and the look of it. I'm not going to pop it open because I have a lot of stuff in there that I can't show off just yet. But yeah, love Fantastical. Totally my favorite calendar app. I think the Apple one's slacking big time. But the thing that isn't slacking in Apple is Apple Mail. I really enjoy Apple Mail, to be honest. I tried MimeStream for a while, which is really great and probably my second favorite, although it only worked with Gmail. And I have some iCloud Mail as well as Gmail. So I really like the Mail app. It's easy. It syncs pretty well. It's just like super simple. And I just like that it has everything I need, and it's, ultra simple. I'm a Safari guy. I know a lot of people use Google Chrome, and I have Google Chrome on here for sometimes when I need, but I just prefer Safari. There are a few like websites that don't load properly with Safari, so I'm not saying it's perfect. I just like it. I like the way it works and functions. So definitely one of my favorites. But next is one of the biggest, most important apps. This is OmniFocus, so I will open this up. So I just opened up to the inbox, and I'm not going to go into like the forecast. You can't see some stuff here, but OmniFocus is absolutely been my favorite new addition to my sort of, I'll call them daily use apps. It has really become the ultimate to-do list for me, and I used to think that it was a little too intense, and then I watched a bunch of videos on people using it and how they use it, and I gotta say, it's just like, it's perfect. And one of the biggest features that I absolutely love is consistently, I'll keep emails unread in my email as a way to like kind of have a to-do list in my email. And what I found is really nice is when you get OmniFocus Pro, which is like the subscription, you get like an email that you can forward emails to, and it'll automatically end up in your inbox. So typically what I do is I'll have an email, I'll forward it to my Omni group email, and it'll say like, in the forward subject, like, do this, blah, 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 right? I'll give it the instructions of the task, and then it'll show up in my inbox here, and I can classify it and then go on about my day. And I know that email is now not, clogging up my mail. So it's not 10,000 read or unread emails. And it'll show it up here in OmniFocus. And there's just so much awesome stuff with like the forecast view and the flagged and reviewing. And, there's so many great things you can do with tags and stuff. And I've really loved it. And it's been a staple so far for the last like 2 months. Slack, I use Slack mainly for communication with my writing partner who we write feature films and do a lot of the film productions with. We use Slack because it's just really easy to keep things in thread, and he has Android and a Windows machine. I have a Mac, so Slack is like a great in-between that's not like some other third party. It's pretty easy to use, it's pretty simple. And I use Slack for some other stuff too, so it's just nice to keep it in there. Notes, I'm an Apple Notes lover. I kind of everything starts in Apple Notes, so a lot of times when I have new ideas, either for a film or for a project or notes on like YouTube videos, they always go into the notes folder first, and then they can kind of grow from there. So that's actually where Pages comes in. I like Pages for when I'm it's kind of like the next stage in the process. So typically when I'm like writing a project, the original idea or some notes on the idea might all live in the notes folder. And then if I'm going to do an outline or, some like early document, I'll open up Pages and I'll use it. And then usually the last step is like Google Drive and Google Docs, which I use quite often, mainly because that's when I have to share things. So kind of like starts in Notes, goes to Pages, and then ends up in Google Docs at some point. But I love Pages. It's really great, easy to work with. Obviously, it's free. It's included. Same with Keynote. I don't make a ton of PowerPoints and presentations, but when I do, Keynote is really great. It's free. Everything looks really nice in Keynote. So I honestly can't complain. I love it. So this program is called Edit Ready. This is a really great program. It's great for transcoding videos, but what I actually use it for a lot of times is creating proxies. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll import footage from a shoot and I'll immediately create proxies with Edit Ready, or just if I want to like convert a file without having to go into DaVinci Resolve, which I'll talk about in a second. Edit Ready is like a great way to convert files. I can open it up here. It's super simple. I've done a video on it. There's like great presets and stuff, and it's really, really awesome for making proxies, or like a lot of times I'll archive footage. So when I'm done with a project or something, I'll take all the footage if I didn't make proxies, and I will make proxies. And that way I can have like archival purposes. So it's really great. It works really well. It's super fast, and it's really, really great. And there's a lot of different, metadata, all kinds of things you can do to it. So then there's DaVinci Resolve. This is my video editor of choice. I've been using DaVinci Resolve since 2018 when I switched over from Adobe, and I got to say, I have never looked back. Resolve is fantastic. I can't speak highly enough of it. There's a million videos I've done on it, so I won't bore you here, but it really is a great video editor for like, real professional use, which I love. Then I use Logic Pro X. So I like to make music usually on the side for fun. Also, it's just nice having a professional DAW that in case I need to jump in and do something. Resolve has Fairlight, but Logic Pro X works with like virtual instruments and VSTs so much better. So if I'm going to do something with virtual instruments, or I need to, make some music or just do some fun stuff in there. I also play guitar, so I launch guitar rigs sometimes through Logic Pro X just to have a nice little interface. But it's great. I changed the thumbnail. That's why it looks different. It's fun. And then kind of sticking with the quitting Adobe, I have the Affinity Publisher, Designer, and Photo. I love these three apps. I think they're the second versions. I bought the original versions long ago, I think 2017 or 18, when they were fairly new, or at least they were fairly new to me. And then when Affinity 2 of each of those came out, I bought them as well. It's just so cheap, and in the scheme of spending money, not having to pay for Adobe, they're fantastic, and they do everything I need. I'm not a heavy user. Sometimes if I'm doing like a presentation that's a little too much for Keynote, I'll jump into Publisher and use that. A lot of times Designer and Photo, Photo is great for making thumbnails or like really basic things, cutting out stuff. And then Designer I'll use sometimes when like a client might send me a design file that I have to, change the color or do something like that. So super handy. I love these three. And also, staying in line with that, I use Capture One 21. So this is the 2021 version, and I purchased this outright. I got like a deal. I think I actually had like a gift card to B&H or something. So I ended up getting Capture One for like $100. And this has pretty much become my photo editor. So it's my Lightroom replacement. And I have to say, like, sure, there are some of the cool AI features that Lightroom and Photoshop have introduced that the Affinity series and Capture One don't have. But I'll be honest, 99.99% of the time, I do not need them and will not use them. And if I really have to, I have friends that have the Adobe Suite, and I could always ask them, like, hey, can you do this for me or whatever. But it's really great for photos. I love that it uses adjustment layers, which is really cool. Instead of like, you just have to, all the edits are on one thing, you can add these layers. And I really do like that about Capture One. They have a subscription model now, but honestly, it's just been so nice not having to pay for all of these. So yeah, they're fantastic. Then I have the Topaz. I have two Topaz Labs products here, the Sharpen AI and the Gigapixel AI. These are okay. Quite honestly, I use them for corporate and commercial stuff because a lot of times I'll get photos from people that are like super low res and they're really old and bad photos. And, sometimes the gigapixel and the sharpening just take the edge off a little bit. Or sometimes if I do like product photos, I'll run them through the sharpener just to sort of like extra sharpen them, which can be really nice, especially if like sometimes we'll want to shoot a product photo at like f2.8, so there's a bit of that nice like depth feeling. And what's tough is if you're at a certain focal length or whatever it may be, even like a can be a little bit out of focus on the top and bottom. So running it through the sharpening, it's like so nice for product photos. We did ice cream photos once, ran them through there, and it looked awesome because it just brought out every little detail of the ice cream. But we were able to shoot at like f2.8, so we got this really like nice shallow look to it. They're really handy when you know that you can use them, but you just can't slap them on anything. It'll just look bad. So I use those for, kind of all kinds of stuff. And then Offshoot, which is Hedge. I made a million videos on this. This is just how I transfer all my footage. So typically I will take all of, my source and I'll drop it in here, and then I'll take my, destination and do that. And you can back things up and do all kinds of wild stuff. So I've made a million videos. I won't bore you all, but it's fantastic. So the next few apps jump into the writing portion of the feature films and short films. So I'm a Final Draft 13 user, and I'll skip ahead a little bit here. I used to use Highland 2 for quite some time, and really enjoyed it. I really love Highland 2, and I got to this point where I was needing a few more features that Final Draft 13 had, like some of the beatboard stuff, and just some like little things that like formatting, like just formatting text and certain things. So I ended up leaving Highland 2, going to Final Draft 13. The one thing I will say is that Highland 2 is actually great for writing manuscripts for novels. So I find myself writing short stories, which I do quite often, in Highland 2 still, and then writing the scripts in Final Draft 13. And then I do a lot of the outlining on Freeform, and I made a video all about that, using Freeform as a great outlining app, and it's such a great outlining tool. And right now I've actually been testing Highland Pro, and spoiler, I'm not a fan. There's a lot of price issues, and there's just some issues that weren't fixed from Highland 2. To be honest, it's just kind of like a reskinned Highland 2 with a price, with a recurring price. So not a fan. But so I'll be sticking with Final Draft 13. But yeah, so these four things I use, these three obviously mainly in writing, shorts or features or novels, and I love them. So. And then I have the music app. I'm an Apple Music guy. I've been using Apple Music since they launched in 2013 or 14 or wherever it was. And I love Apple Music. It's my go-to. The sound quality is fantastic. And I know the playlists aren't as great as some other services, but they've gotten really good recently. And I'm not much of like a random playlist kind of person. I'm just like a music library kind of person. And then messages, so I just for text messaging and stuff like that. I will say up top, and I'll move this. I used to use Bartender, but now I use this one called Ice because Bartender got bought out, and there's been some interesting stuff around that. And I use what I'm using right now, which is Screenshot X. I'm not going to click on that, but I'm a SetApp subscriber, and I use CleanShot X to do screenshotting, to do video screen recording. It's honestly the greatest screenshotting app ever. I never thought I needed one, but I promise you do. Then I also use this thing called, it's in Focus 2, and it's in SetApp, it's called Focus 2. And what I really love about Focus 2 is you can basically lock down your computer to not allow you to get to certain apps and certain websites, which is really great sometimes because I get very scatterbrained, and sometimes I'll be writing and then I'll think and I'll go somewhere, and it's great because I can block like social media apps or YouTube for a certain amount of time, but leave like Google Drive or other, web-based platforms if I want to. Really, really helpful, and I love that. And then if I kick out the menu, I can see, clean my Mac X, which I use pretty often, iStat menus for some of the stats here. I also use an app called Paste, which is really great for a clipboard. It has my entire clipboard history for forever. And then I have a couple other random ones like Frame My Own stuff. But yeah, I keep my Mac pretty simple. I try to keep everything here in the dock visible because I like programs that I use often. Not because I use Alfred, or excuse me, yeah, Alfred. So I use Alfred quite often to just search apps and stuff, but I do like having these ones down here that are kind of my go-to always use. Sometimes it's just a reminder to, hey, you should use these. So yeah, that's pretty much my Mac. If you guys like this, let me know. I'd love to do maybe a what's on my iPhone video, talk about some of the focus modes or maybe some of the ways that I'm using that for production. But this is just one of those ways that I've found to optimize my Mac for, being a workhorse and trying to be as minimal as possible. And yeah, it works for me. And I hope maybe you've learned something, or you've got a cool idea, or maybe you saw a program you didn't use. But let me know if you have any recommendations or suggestions. I would love to know what you guys are using on your Macs, especially if you're in the film world. I would love to know what apps and services maybe I should check out. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.